how's it going? My name's Lizzie. Welcome to my channel. This is, I used to call them soulful sessions with spirit, but now it is therapy with tarot, and we're getting into our parenting series. And today we're going to talk about what your kids are really saying. And I pick the topics in the deck, and spirit picks the talking points and carries the lecture, if you will, that they want us to know about what our kids are really saying. So I'm gonna start with picking our talking points, like points that they think are gonna resonate most with most parents out there. I had to change my shirt. I like girly shirts and all, but I'm gearing up for bed. I like big baggy shit before I go to bed. I don't sleep in no lingerie. I sleep in a t-shirt. So, that's the truth about after you reach a certain age, my trying is I put lipstick on. Anyway. Ooh, Aunt May. Home is never too far away. Black Widow. Look twice, leap once. Moon Knight. It's never too late for a second chance. America Chavez. The best way is your way. Get one more. Spirit says. Venom. Let me in, said the spider to the fly. And Hulk at the bottom of the deck. Think first, smash later. So these are talking points of what your kids are really saying to you. We're going to talk about this Aunt May card to me is home is never too far away. When your kids are really saying that they're always going to, when they're saying they need you to let them know that they're always going to have home with you, that they're always going to have a place to go, that they're always going to be safe, that you're always going to take care of them, even when they fuck up, pretty much. So Black Widow, look twice, leap once is when they're saying they are feeling unsafe, or maybe the extreme of it would be feeling smothered. Moon Knight, it's never too late for a second chance. This is when they're saying that you're my parent, you're supposed to love me even when I fuck up. Like basically when they're saying like they feel like you don't love them anymore because of their mistakes. And then America Chavez is the best way is your way. When they're really saying that you're not giving them a voice, or when they want you, the extreme of it, like either you're giving them too much control and they're not ready for it, they want you to make the decision, or they're feeling like you're making all the decisions and they don't get a say. We're going to talk about it. These are just talking points. Venom, let me in, said the spider to the fly. When they're saying they feel like someone is evil and you don't really listen, or they're feeling unsafe and you're like, oh, everything's fine, just kind of brush it off, or talking about traumas they're too scared to say out loud. This is the tough stuff with Venom. And then Hulk, think first, smash later. That's the opposite with kids. This is when they're talking, when they're saying maybe they're afraid of your temper, or you're overreacting, or you just go to the extreme and they feel like they can't talk to you because of your anger. Or this could be them, like, I can't talk to you because you just make me angry. Let's get into the first talking point with Aunt May here. Home is never too far away. Go to this deck over here. What would we like? What were we talking? This was when they're really saying, I want to know that I always have a home, that you're always going to be my parent, that you're always going to take care of me. Unknown territory. watching clouds and pass, and taking shelter. Yeah. This is more like probably when your kids are like going off to college, going off to unknown territory. Kids are going off to summer camp. Maybe you're divorcing and you're like splitting your time, but there's a reason why they're not going to be in the home with you all the time. Whether it's for a short period or a long time, it really doesn't matter. This is when your kids are like, I'm scared. I don't know what's out there. You've been here taking care of me, and I'm scared to be away from you. I'm scared to not have you watching out for me, there to take care of me and make sure I have what I need. But this is also saying when they don't know what to do with this unknown territory, you are exactly where you need to be, that they can always come to you. Like, I want to be able to come to you and say anything and you be able to help me. That I can just lie back and relax and talk to you in a calm like setting. I feel like this is maybe discussions about religion or sexuality, or if they're being bullied at school, or if someone hurt them. It's kind of going a little bit with the venom, which we'll get into that, but this is more like, you're my confider, you're my shelter, not just physically, you're my emotional shelter. I come to you for wisdom when I don't feel good and I'm trying to figure out what's happening to me. I call you. When I get my heart broken by someone, I call you and you comfort me. This is when either they're trying to say thank you, and maybe they just aren't very good with it. I think this is to them recognizing your love language would be in caring for them, and maybe they try to reciprocate that when you are going through something tough. They step into the Aunt May character of, when I'm sick, Mom makes me, or Dad makes me soup. So Dad and Mom's sick, so I'm going to make them soup. You might see them mimicking things, not just about sick, but when their heart is hurting. Like maybe you go get them a pint of ice cream and you watch a movie together, and then all of a sudden, maybe you are going through a divorce and your kid shows up with a pint of ice cream and in a movie. Like, pay attention to their actions. Sometimes they're speaking to you how you speak to them when they're hurting, and they don't know how to comfort you. They don't know how to be there for you, so they try to reciprocate a language they don't understand through actions. So if you're really struggling with your kid and words aren't their thing, look at how they're treating you. Are they carrying in the groceries without being asked? Like, are they doing cute things? Like, this is ways when they know you're sick, or when you're down and out, or maybe you lost your job, or maybe your friend is sick, or I don't know, maybe your dog of 15 years died and they know you're sad. Like, the kids step up and they take care of you. They start parenting you when they feel in your heart you're hurting, or you're physically hurting. Kids don't know how to say, I'm scared. Are you going to be okay? So they just start taking care of you because you're their nurturer. So they figure if they take care of you that you're going to get better. And in a kid's mind, it's quite simple. You make them soup, you let them sleep, they will get better. They don't really get what cancer is. They don't really get what surgeries are if you broke your leg. Like, Mommy just needs soup, Daddy needs soup. Like, they'll be fine. Like, they don't, in their mind, it's simple because that's what Mom and Dad does. When I'm sick, Mom does this, and Dad does this, and Mom does this, and Dad does this, and then I get better. So Mom needs this, and Dad needs this, and I just keep doing this, and they will get better. Because that's what they know. So sometimes their love language to you isn't physical language. It's, I just want to take care of you because you take care of me. And they, like when traumatic things happen to your parents, like when they hear, oh, we're going to have to tighten the belt because Mom lost her job or Dad lost their job, so until we get a new one, we can't have extra spending. Believe it or not, that puts stress on your kids. So your kids start worrying about you. Like, they might leave a paper like, Mom, I circled some really good jobs for you. And you might take that in an offensive way. Like, oh, they think I'm a lazy parent. When they're just stressed out and they want to help you. Or they're helping out around the house because they ease your stress. But it can go the opposite way as well. When kids are stressed out, they can act up. They don't know how to deal with the stress. They don't know how to say, I'm scared that you're sick and that I might lose you, so I'm going to be a dick. Or I'm scared that you're hurting and I don't know how to help you, and so I'm just pushing you away because I don't know how to help you, and it hurts me to not be able to help you. They don't know how to communicate. They can't sit with themselves and figure that out because they don't have the tools. They're kids or teenagers. They're not us. Like, we have to give them credit for the life experience they have. They just don't know sometimes, and then we get mad at our kids, but it's all about the transformation of it. Like, they learn as they grow and experience, so they're learning through you, through your nurturing, through your love. Your love language is taking care of them. So when your kids overly take care of them and it drives you a little bit crazy, just understand that they're scared or they're worried about you and they don't know how to say that. So they over nurture, or they over bother you, or they're over clingy, and it comes from a place of love. So try not to snap out. You know, when you have the flu and you just want your kid away from you, but now your kid just wants to be all around. They're worried about you. They don't know how to say, Mommy, you're sick, and I'm sad because you're sick. Or Daddy, you know what I mean? So they just hover. Because they're like, I'm going to take care of you. Like, you take care of me. And to them, it's a love. Like, it doesn't matter if they're 2 or if they're 14. And they'll come in your room 86 times and check your forehead and like, are you okay, Mom? Because they love you. That's they're freaking out. Without you, even for 3 days with the flu, with you down there like, Mom's not around, Dad's not around, what do I do? They're here to figure it all out, and I'm not ready for this responsibility. So they're just like, get better, because I don't know what to do. Have compassion. They're not ready to be in charge yet. And sometimes when you're sick and stuff, you ask them to step up and they're like, I'm not ready for all this stress. Like, I have to take the trash out too? This is so hard. And to them it really is. And we're like, it's not hard. You know what I mean? But for a little, 6-year-old kid who didn't have that on their plate last week, it's a bit of a challenge. Alright, so when you're at an impasse and like there's complications between you and your kid and you're just like bumping heads, eventually your kid feels bad and you feel bad. So with this patience please popping at me, it's like, and then marriage is popping at me. New career. Okay. Pregnancy. Hey. Spirit's leading me in the new direction. So this is an impasse, like, with your kids. I'm like, who's going to take care of me if you're having another baby, Mom? Dad? Like, you're not going to have time for me? Like, who's going to do my laundry and read to me? And who's going to give me a bath? This is like serious, like I'm being extra, but that to your kid is a real, like, there's going to be a baby. Maybe there's already other kids. Like, she doesn't even have time for the one she has. That was a real thing. My mom has 5 kids. I was the baby for 10 years. I was the baby for 10 years. Do you think, I was excited, so my mom had it pretty easy, and when the baby was born, I just looked at her as a doll, but I feel like it could have went the other way. Like, I'm the fucking baby. Like, fuck that baby. Want that baby? I'm the baby. I could have acted out and been like, you don't love me. And some kids do that because they were the baby. They got all your time. And that's hard for a kid, even if it, like, they don't really, even if you go extra and you give them time, they're still going to get pissed when you're holding the baby because they want your love. And they got to learn a healthy love language. They have to learn to share you, Mom and Dad. And that doesn't come right off the bat for some kids. Some kids take to their siblings and they love it like me. I was like, ooh, a doll. Can I change her? Great. And Mom's like, go for it. That was her 5th kid. She's like, do everything. I'm going to bed. But like, some little kids just take to it. They love it. But then you have those complications. And they might love it while you're pregnant and like hug your belly and be excited. But then when the baby comes and they see how much the time the baby takes of you, and they start getting vengeful of that baby. Like, God love my nephew, but when I spend too much time with my niece, he starts getting mean to my niece. Like, hey, and then I have to turn around and be like, hey, I'm not paying enough attention to you, and then he stops being mean to her. And they don't know how to say, you're not paying attention to me and I don't like it. Some kids blurt that out. I love those kids because they're easy to, it's easy to, oh, great, you took the guesswork out of it. Well, let me fix the situation. It kind of sucks that they're mouthy little shit sometimes, but they get right to the point. I'm like, okay, great. Have you ever seen those little kids, like, in the back of the class, like, hello, we need more juice. We've been running around and we're sweating. We need juice. So extra. But they're right. Everyone, and then they're like, all the other kids in class are like, yeah, I want some juice. Oh, yeah, juice. Right, juice. You need those kids. They're a little extra. They could say it nicer, but they're usually right. Which usually burns our ass as adults sometimes. Because then you're like, because sometimes those truth bombs hurt. Like, maybe you shouldn't eat that cupcake because you're always saying how fat you are. Like, that is a true story. But, ouch. They don't give a shit, bro. They'll tell you. And it's like, as a parent, you take it to heart. And you're like, ow. But you don't need to. Because they're not doing it to be vindictive. Like, if adults said that to you, you'd be like, motherfucker. Like, you have common sense. You have tact. You have empathy. You know the difference. Little kid does not. They're not going to give a shit that you've been trying for 8 years to have another kid. They don't care. They don't want to share you. They're not going to make the experience fun for you because you're their parent. And they're like, fuck no. This is a me show. This show is all about me, motherfucker. It's hard. There's classes. There's all kinds of things you can help your kid through this. But this is very normal. Pregnancy is like for some of your kids. And it causes, and I don't mean to giggle. Because honestly, when your kids are grown, you giggle at it. Like, remember when they used to fight like cats and dogs? Like, just to drive us fucking crazy. I would give anything to have the house allowed again like that. Them running around like loons. They don't even visit until Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? So, like, you miss it. And then with new career and marriage, patience, please. Like, when mom or dad starts a new career and their hours change, or maybe they have to travel for work, this is going to cause a rift. And, like, who's going to take care of us? Are you guys getting a divorce? Like, are you moving? Like, there's stress there. So be kind and considerate to your child when you're starting a career. They don't adjust easily to schedules like adults can. Like, they don't have the life experience to be like, everything's going to be okay. Like, the first day of school is the end of the goddamn world for your kid because they never left home before. So when mom and dad's schedules change, you can only imagine they're like, what is happening? This is not how life goes. I thought I'd just wake up every day and everything is the same. I have a schedule because kids need routine, so they do the same thing. So when you screw up their schedules and their routines, they're like, my life is in chaos! And their insides reflect their outsides, and they don't know how to say, like, I don't like this new sleep schedule. I don't like that mom and dad is gone more. Or, they travel. They go away without me. They don't love me anymore. They're never here because they're always working. They don't understand. They think that you're doing it on purpose, even though deep in their heart they know you're not. But they really do need you to sit down and be like, 50 times, especially if they're like 2 to like 8. Their attention spans and their memories are like flies. Like, remember, Mommy and Daddy have to work because we love you and we're saving money for college and we have to pay for this house. You know, I would love to be here with you every day. They have to hear that. Comfort. When you're having another baby, I'm going to love you the same. We're going to have special days, just you and me. What would you like to do? What would make you feel better about having a new brother or sister? Do you want Mommy and Daddy to make sure we read to you every night? Should we have a special walk after dinner, just me and you? The kids love that shit. They'll be like, oh, I get to say in something. Oh my God. You know, just that alone makes them feel heard and validated. Like, okay, Mom and Dad heard me. And although there's a new baby, that new baby doesn't get to go for a walk with Dad and or Mom after dinner every night. And if they do, you know, they have to send the stroller and I get to walk like a big kid. You know what I mean? There's always something that they picked it. It's their idea. You have to stick with it because it's important to their heart until they get sick of it. If they don't want to do it anymore, then you're off the hook. Great. But marriage, when your marriage is in trouble or when you separate, this is very chaotic, and they need to know that no matter what happens between Mom and Dad, that you're both still going to be parents. You have to work hard to instill this and tell them and hug them and love them. Little kids need affirmations every single day. Like, they watch the same movie over and over and still forget lines and like how parts go, okay? So you're going to have to tell them every day, like, remember Mom and Dad we don't live together anymore, but remember, if you need Daddy or if you need Mommy, you can just call them. Remember? You have to. They're kids. They're like, pay attention to Mom, pay attention to Mom. Ooh, there's a bird outside. Oh, my friends are playing. What's that noise? Oh, pay attention to Mom and Dad. They're like puppies, you know? It's not their fault. It's just the world is crazy, and they see something new every 2 seconds. They're like, what's that? They're learning consistently. We just forget as adults. Have patience with that. But they're always learning. They're always a bit behind. Like, we sometimes like, because when there's the why? How come this happens? Why does this happen, Mom? What is this? Where does this go? Huh? Why? I don't understand. What does this mean? It drives you fucking crazy. But how else do they know? They can't even Google yet. You are Google, okay? Mom and Dad, you are Google. So when they ask you 50 million things, I think what they're really saying is, I have a lot of anxiety and I can't shut my brain off. So talk to them. What's going on? Why are you asking all these questions about this for? Are you worried about this? What's going on? Dig. Psychological investigation, if you will. Keeps bringing up this baby. Do you think we're going to sell you on the black market and forget about you? Make them giggle. With the Black Widow, look twice, sleep once is kind of the same thing. It's like, with this unknown territory and watching clouds, they want to know that you're there. Like, have you ever like seen your kid when they're when they're finally old enough to cross the street for the first time? It's like they get up to the road and they're like, look back at you, like they're looking for that confirmation of, is it okay? And kids, no matter, I'm 38 years old and sometimes I still look at my parents like, is this safe? Like, should I be doing this? Like, you know, they're looking for you for confirmation that everything's going to be okay and for reassurance. And if you are feeling unsure and unsafe, it's going to make them panic more. And if you are calm about a situation, and you're like, yeah, sure, go for it, they're confident in it. So your attitude is everything when it comes to them, like starting new things or being in very sketchy situations. And with this venom over here, if it's the other way around, if your kid comes to you and you're like, this person makes me feel unsafe, like I don't want to be anywhere near them, or they're mean to me, or they ignore me, or like whatever concern your kid has, kids are very open and receptive naturally. and they're very, very forgiving. Like, they might hold on to it for that day, but they play together. Like, look at how they fight, okay? They fight 6 times a day with their best friends. 10 minutes later, hugging, like, I'm sorry, okay, great. See you tomorrow. We're best friends, right? Great. Okay, bye. You know, like, it's like, so if they really don't like someone and they consistently don't like someone, that is a serious red flag. Do not discredit your kids' intuition about babysitters, about sports coaches, about teachers, any adult you're leaving them with. If there's at any time your kid is expressing they do not feel safe and you ignore it, you are causing psychological damage down the road or putting themselves in a very serious situation. A lot of kids wouldn't get hurt in this world. I mean, I know the world's very different, but when I was a kid, you know, we heard a lot like, oh, you're just being dramatic. Or like, it's gonna be fine. Like this, you know, I have to go to work. Or there's a reason why you have to be here. It's like, you don't always get a say as a kid. And that can cause damage. Like, as an adult, especially if that person hurt you, and you told your parent that that person hurt you and that parent brushed you off, you never forgive that person, and without like serious therapy. So think about that when your kid says they're unsafe or somebody hurt me, or you need to think about the fact that they are a child and they don't get a say. So when you are forcing them, their actions sometimes say what their words cannot. If they don't want to get out of the car, if they throw a temper tantrum, if they cry, if they get angry when you leave them there, if they act up for specific places but not for others, that is a physical red flag. You need to figure out why your child does not want to go there. Like I said, kids are very receptive, and it's more than the first few minutes of I don't want mom and dad to leave. If they go there and they're eventually okay after the first hour, because sometimes kids freak out for an hour, sometimes 2. But if eventually they cool down and they like it there and they have fun, that's not what I'm talking about. They are consistently not wanting to go there. And when you pick them up, there's, you know, I just listen to your kids. You don't ever want them to be unsafe. There's cruel people in this world that feed off of children, and those motherfuckers are usually well-respected members of society. People that you would never even consider being sick perverts, coaches, teachers, pastors, like people who have kids, you know? Like, if you suspected what they were, they wouldn't get away with it for as long as they do. They're chameleons. So don't trust anybody with your kid, and especially listen to your kid, because they don't get a say and you do force them in places, and if something is happening to them, they need your support. You're supposed to be protecting them. And if, like I said, if you don't trust your kid's intuition and you don't listen, that you could be preventing them from something horrible. If just by listening to your kid, you could prevent them from being touched or hurt. If you don't want to ever be in that situation, like, why didn't I just listen to my kid? Don't ever be in that situation. Just listen to your kid. And listen, look at them. You know your child better than anyone. You know what fear looks like. You know what discomfort looks like. You know what anxiety looks like. You can see their body tense. Like, pay attention to more than their words when they don't want to be around people and when they're saying they don't like someone. That's very important. And with this anger issue, kids get very frustrated about a lot of things. When your kids are doing their homework and they throw their pencil and, I don't want to do this, they feel defeated. They feel stupid. They feel like they're never going to be able to understand, and they just want to give up. And, you know, the same thing happens when they're not getting the reaction they want from you. it's kind of like being a bad loser. They have to learn authority, and so they act up. They're not always going to do that. They're going to act up until they learn that you are the authority figure. A lot of complications between parents and kids come from the power struggle. Maybe you're taking on a kid that didn't have structure, and bringing them into structure is very hard. They rebel. Teenage years is hard for them, boy or girl, because of hormone imbalances. I would check into stuff like St. John's wort natural mood enhancers that isn't going to put anything toxic made from plants, just because the imbalance in itself is what causes a lot of fights between parents. And kids go, this is what people don't understand about teenagers, and we forget, like, you have all this stuff raging through your body, and you take it out on your parents the most, and then they go up in their room and they're like, why did I do that? Why did I say that? Like, I'm so stupid. Like, I'm such a drama king, queen. Like, I'm so extra. And they cry and they feel like shit about themselves. And they don't know how to control it. And some adults still do this. It's all about the chemical imbalances between melatonin and, you got B12. All the vitamins are fluctuating around. And it's just a heavy time, and they get frustrated with a lot of things because, one, they don't understand it. They don't have the communicative tools to express what they need because they haven't dealt with it yet. Or if they have dealt with it, they haven't dealt with it enough to know what to do. And a lot of their emotions come out in a yell when they don't mean it to. A lot of teenagers will yell when they're upset, but they're not yelling at you. They're just yelling at the situation, and they don't know how to separate it. So it comes like one volume and one tone with your teenage kids, and it comes out as this Hulk smash, but it's not directed at anyone. It's pent-up aggression and frustration and hurt, and I can't control my own body, my own thoughts. I don't know what to do with it half the time. They're like in between adults and wanting to be independent and being children and being very, very dependent, and the world does not make sense on so many levels, and that just creates this boy or a girl. So just be patient with your teenagers and know the teenage years, as hard as they are short, and these are the years that are closing out your bond with your kid. It's also, like, as much as people harp on teens, it's also a really great time to really get to know your kid's personality. They come out with jokes, they're dating people, they start their own style, dressing, being themselves. It's not all bad, but I think the best thing to do is to learn your child's actions, because that's really going to tell you what they're really saying in the situation. When they feel unsafe, they could act out angry, whereas you're expecting them to be like, hey, mom, dad, this happened to me, I'm unsafe. They don't know how to do that. They're mad that they feel unsafe. They're mad about the situation. So they're coming in like, Mom, Dad, I don't want to go to this anymore. This is so stupid. Why do you make me do it? There's more to it. Sit down and figure out what's really going on before you get upset. You're the adult. You have the life experience. You have to be the one that has to learn to read between the lines, because they don't know how to do that yet. And it's not their fault. They'll get better at it, and your relationship will grow, and you'll get better at communicating. But as children, as babies, as teens, they're really depending on you. You are the focal point, and everything in their world centers around you. So the more calm and the more you get to know your kid, the more, not just what they say, but what they don't say. Knowing their behavior helps you spot when they're not acting like themselves as well. Getting them in for therapy checkups in teen years, even if they're not struggling, I suggest just getting a mental health checkup, because they might say something to the counselor that they're not comfortable saying to you, and there might be something seriously going on with them that they need help with that you would have never known about had you just said, hey, let's just do one session, See if you like it, and if you don't like it, you don't ever have to go back. I just want to make sure you're doing good. And if you want someone to talk to, here's your opportunity. You let me know if you want to keep going or if you want to find someone else. Like, put the opportunity out there, because kids aren't going to be like, hey mom, I think I should go to therapy, unless they absolutely need to, and by then they've been going through a lot of stuff. So cut that a lot of stuff off by just suggesting it. Just throwing it out there randomly every so and so. They might say, no, I don't want, no, that's stupid. Alright, maybe they don't need it, but just keep tossing it out there randomly. Put it out there. Throw it out in the ether. And if your kid needs you and they need help, they're going to be like, okay. They don't know the options they have. So if there's other forms of like teen talk lines, you can just like leave a flyer on their desk. If you're struggling with something, you can call and just randomly leave shit. Subtle. Hey, if you're struggling, I want to help you, but I know you don't want to always talk to me. So here's some options. Just throwing them out there. Talk about the hard stuff with your kid, because I think a lot of bad stuff happens with like suicide and stuff. Not saying that you're going through that. It's because people just treat it like it's a leopard and won't even address it and won't even do those checkups with their kids. Like, hey, you good? Struggling in there? Everything good in your ticker? Are you sad? Like, you got enough friends? Like, can I help you? Not like, don't make them feel like shit, but like, I just want to make sure, you know that I love you. And if you ever struggle with anything, like, please come to me. If you're feeling like you want to end your life, like, I'll be here for you. I will beat this world up for you. Have that conversation with your kid, because they're going to think about that if they ever struggle. Mom, Dad said if I ever think about suicide, to go to them. And, having that in their mind might save their life if they ever, God forbid, went there, Put it out there. Communicate it. Put it in the ether. It's there. I love you guys. I hope you like this one. Remember, next week is how to motivate your kids and encourage their talents without being like a stage parent, like toxic version. Anyway, love and light. See you soon. Have a great week. Toodaloo boo boos. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Let me know if you're liking these. You want me to continue, because at the end of the month, I'm deciding if... Oh, wait, not the end of the month. I have this parenting therapy session and then a life coaching 4-week session. So we have 7 more weeks. So if at the end of 7 weeks, I'm still kind of flatlining with these numbers without it, I might just drop it. So let a girl know if you like these. If you have any topic recommendations, I can maybe chop off one of these that no one's really interested in. Stick it in there if I like it, Put it out there in the ether. Toodaloo boo boos. Boy.